Okay, so this new museum event just released today. And look at these rewards. It's giving a self-modeling resin. Now, if you remember, before in 1.0, we could only get one of these, which was from the battle pass. So this patch, it looks like we can get two. Hopefully this is a thing going forward, and Hoyoverse maybe give us 2 per patch with maybe 3 on their anniversary, who knows. But this item is incredibly valuable. I'm sure most of you already know what it does. But if you salvage 10 relics, or if you buy the paid battle pass, you don't need to salvage. But this item lets you convert those salvaged relics into picking any artifact with any main stat of your choice, although the final substats are random. Anyway, here's my opinion on what you should use your resin on. Potentially both your resins this patch. And also, to be honest, I think a lot of theory crafters may agree on this. Use it on an energy regeneration rate piece from this Vonwacq set. So the first reason why this is a good idea, energy regeneration pieces are strong on a lot of the supports in the game. Basically, the faster you regenerate energy, you get your ultimates faster, which means your supports get more utility. Like if it's a harmony character, you could be getting more team buffs, like more damage or more speed. Or on a nihility support, you could be getting more debuffs and more weakness break and more damage on enemies. If you pay a lot of memory of chaos, breaking and disabling enemies faster is so helpful. You're dealing more damage and taking less damage at the same time. Even on a preservation character like Japard, faster ultimates for him also means higher shield uptime. These give 19.4% once this relic is plus 15 and fully leveled, which is quite significant because in Star Rail, unlike Genshin, you can't get ER from substats. So imagine if my Asta had this energy regeneration rope with an extra 5% from the Vonwacq set, plus if I had an Eidolon 4 which gives plus 15 energy regeneration rate. At that point, I've got over 140% energy generation, which is quite significant. I'll be getting ultimates a lot faster. So overall, this more ultimates thing is unique extra utility. It's not just something like more damage. Okay, so now I've quickly summarized why these pieces are good. I'll give you more reasons on why you want to craft this particular piece. The second reason is that these ER pieces have some of the lowest drop rates in the game. Here's a sample size survey that looked at estimated drop rates. You can see here literally ERR is the lowest. I'll put the link to this document in the pinned comment. It's originally a survey from the CN community, and this is a translated English version by Edison, who is another theory crafter from Genshin Discords. However, just on this survey, I will give my observation that when you farm Simulated Universe for these pieces, there's only 2 types of relic. You're getting either ropes or you're getting the planar spheres. So even though this says 5%, when you farm a regular relic domain, you're getting one of these 4 other pieces. So in practice, potentially if you farm both Simulated Universe worlds and normal relic domains evenly, this 5% here is probably closer to these 10% on the body, but I can still give you more reasons. So number 3 is that this particular set, this Sprightly Vonwacq set, gives even more ER. So it's 5%, and now actually one of the downsides is that in practical gameplay, this 5% could either make a difference or it could make no difference. Basically, if it doesn't get you an ultimate 1 turn faster, then I suppose it didn't really do anything. There's also some theory crafters that do precise breakpoint calculations for this, but to be honest, there's so many factors in gameplay, like getting hit by an enemy generates you more energy, defeating an enemy generates you more energy, and sometimes when fighting enemies, you don't really follow a rotation. You might want to use a skill to break an enemy's weakness. Basically, there's too many factors for me personally to make it an exact science in practice. However, I think you'd greatly appreciate having this set as an option rather than not having it. Whether the 5% makes a difference or not in practice, it's still slightly more energy regeneration. It also lets your supports act earlier at the start of battle, which could also be helpful. Maybe it could let you break a weakness slightly faster. Maybe it could help your support buff your DPS for their first turn where they normally might not have been able to. Anyway, this brings us to the next point. As I said, it's good to have this set as an option, and actually you don't want to spend much time farming for these sets in this simulated universe world. Essentially, you want to get in, get out. If you look at this Talia Kingdom of Banditry set, it's a break effect set, which, as you might know already, is very niche. It might get more useful in the future, but for the most part, you'd rather be spending your stamina farming something else. Most likely World 3 or World 6, because in those worlds, both of the sets are more generic and more used. And this previous point gets even more compounded, because not only do you not want to spend too much stamina on these sets, but you don't even need to be grinding super amazing stats here either. You see, whilst your supports would appreciate nice substats like speed or whatever, for the most part, since a lot of them don't really do much damage, you only really care about this energy regeneration main stat. Here's an example, and this is how myself and probably many others wasted their first self-modeling resin. Like, it's really tempting to use it on a rare DPS relic. Like for me, I needed a quantum damage 5-star relic on my Zila, so that's what I used my first one on. And this was still good for me, but because you can't control the substats, I got unlucky and I got trash substats, and long term this piece is just actually a trash piece. In comparison, if you use your self-modeling resin on this rope, then outside of super min-maxing, you only really just need to get any usable planar sphere piece and your support is done. Because just like with the rope, you don't really care that much about your support's damage, so you don't need to be farming the most ideal planar sphere. What you could do is farm this world a few times until you get any decent planar sphere, and then if you hit the lottery and you somehow manage to get an energy regeneration rate rope, then congratulations. But if not, you take that planar sphere and then you use your self-modeling resin on the rope, then you can stop farming. So hopefully you found those points convincing, or maybe you didn't. You know, some people might follow slightly different advice, still getting an energy regeneration rope, but on a different set like Fleet of the Ageless in World 3. And whilst that's a common support set, like I use this set on a lot of my supports, and I would also love an energy regeneration rope for it. But this is a very popular farming world, and people spend a lot of stamina here because both of these sets are useful. Since you'll be farming World 3 a lot, you probably are going to get a few ER ropes on the Fleet of the Ageless set. Whereas, like I said earlier, in this World 4, this break set is not too useful. And even with this Vonwacq set, most characters only really want an energy regeneration rate piece, so you don't want to be spending too much time farming here. Honestly, if I use both resins I get this patch on these pieces, I'll feel pretty good about having 2 on my account, and I might not need another for a long time. I think it's worth it, but ultimately it's up to you.